What is up, y'all? Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Okay, guys. Sorry, I'm having a bad hair day. I just got out of court and my hair was in a ponytail, and I was not feeling that. So, of course, I don't think I have a brush up here, which is not good. So, sorry, I'm messing with my hair. But I just want to start off by saying Happy New Year. You know what? And a lot of people, what's her name? Megan Good and her husband broke up, and he put a beautiful post for New Year, and he wished her a happy true year. So I want to wish out a happy true year, because everything new isn't good for you, but everything true is. Okay, so happy true year. Okay. Pastor so and so from Carolina, from California. They used to be married to Megan Good. Says happy true year. Okay. So, y'all know how it goes. I don't have my little robe on today, but let me get my gavel. You know I'll be ready. And where's the block that goes with my gavel? It's been a long, okay. It's been a long holiday. Um, so let's get started without further ado. Let's go to the things that I have been receiving. Okay. Let's get it started in here. Okay. What options do I have if my ex spouse is not following the medical orders of the doctor? Our child is allergic to dogs, even the hypoallergenic breeds. My spouse has two hypoallergenic dogs. Each time he returns from visitation, our child comes home with itchy eyes, throat issues, hives, and increased asthma issues. After numerous visits to the doctor, he was put on a second allergy medication to help, but it caused stomach issues. I've informed my ex spouse that our child was allergic. Blood tests revealed an allergy to dogs, dog dander. We were advised to keep him away from dogs. My ex spouse did not believe the test results and has purchased a third dog that is not hypoallergenic. After a visitation, he brought our child home with a swollen face, hives on his face, legs, neck, arms, and complaints of throat tightening. After taking him to the doctor, I was told he had a severe allergic reaction to the dogs and was close to anaphylactic shock. He now has an EpiPen. Wow. I was again told he needs to stay away from all dogs and dander in enclosed spaces. I make your child available for visitation, but you've not allowed our child to go back to my ex mom's if the dogs are present. Okay, I make your child available for visitation, but have not allowed our child to go back to my ex mom's home if the dogs are present per doctor orders. X has not removed the dogs and wants our son to visit his home. What are my options? Go. Now, y'all, when she started off, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, girl, get over it, girl. People, because I'm allergic to dogs as well. I'm allergic to like mold, dust, all that stuff. Like cats and dogs, but it ain't never stopped me. You know what I'm saying? And my mom's allergic to that. And it's funny because growing up, we got dogs anyways. And now it wasn't to this extent, but I would, we had the dogs anyways. And my mama, it was funny because whenever we got a new dog, we keep our dogs for a long time. But say if the dog passed or something, or we added a dog to the bunch, she would get really, swollen. She'd be coughing. Her eyes would be swollen shut almost. And it was just normal. It was like, shit, she'll get over in a couple days. You know what I'm saying? Mom will be all right. We want this dog. And we did that to my mom a few times growing up. And again, me and my brother were also allergic, but we were not that allergic to dogs, but we were allergic and we did not care because we love dogs. So I was feeling, when I started reading this, I was feeling like she was being a little bit petty. Until she said an EpiPen, I'm like, wait a second, this is not a joke, Allie. Like, this kid has an EpiPen, and now the man has purchased a third dog. Okay, so your options, unless you have a court order that says that, the child should not be around the dogs, or that he's enjoined from bringing the child around dogs, he can do that. I know it seems crazy, but, if you believe that something is not in your child's, best interest, um, you can get an emergency. You can move the court for an emergency temporary order, asking that no dogs be around until further order of the court, or that he not be around dogs until further order of the court. The court may deny that and set it for a hearing, and then you would have to modify, the orders based on the doctors. More than likely, you're going to have the doctors testify, because you can put the medical records before the court, with an affidavit, but who's going to explain what those medical records mean, or some, things like that. I would assume you're going to need to probably call the doctor. So this can be a costly thing, right? Because whenever you put doctors and records up, the other side gets a chance to depose that doctor and look at those records and get an expert to go against what that doctor is saying. And so that may be something that people may do or may not do. Some people look at this, some attorneys may look at this as a case where that's not necessary. And they'll just go and, put the records up. It's different ways to skin a cat. She, to me, seems very like this is a big deal to her. So I would probably go all out if she's willing to pay. So it's like, girl, are you willing to pay for all this? Because, depositions are costly. In order for you to have a doctor to testify, that would be costly. Your medical records are not costly, but it just depends on how you want to skin this cat, girl. But it looks like she is serious, and this boy has an EpiPen. Now I would say that the father. Now come on, I'm gonna go ahead and take this to my court of public opinion, sir. Bringing this child back bruised, scorned, scathed, swollen, and toe up. You honestly should not feel comfortable doing that shit to the child. But then when you think about it, I did it to my mother when I was a child, and we felt like she would get over it. But that's because we knew she would get over it. Sir, I don't know if you had this child long enough for the child to get acclimated to this thing, or if this is something that he will ever get acclimated to. Just do some soul searching within yourself. And if this is not the best thing for the child, sir, don't have them dogs around this child. And have this boy, his whole time in your house is going to be horrible. I don't know how old the child is, but, when they're 12 years old, they can confer with the court automatically upon, motion, unless there's, extenuating circumstance or reason that the court shouldn't hear from them, which is really never when they're over 12. And this child may say, I hate going over there because when I go over there, I'm sick the whole time and he doesn't care about my well-being and I don't feel good. I don't know what a child would say. I don't know if the kid even cares. Or if the kid actually loves the dog, so he doesn't care. He looks past it. Because I don't know. So, ma'am, I don't really know what to tell you, but here's the court of my public opinion. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm ready to rule. Girl, this is what I would do. Let's just the girl tell you what she would do. It is what it is. If I had $4,000 or $5,000 laying around and I was serious about this and I felt like this is really making my child sick, and I know that I may not get my attorney's fees and court fees back from him, and I'm willing to spend that $5,000, go ahead. Run your motion. Okay? If I didn't have $5,000, I have $2,500 laying around that I'm ready to get loose of, because I don't know whether or not the court would award attorney's fees in this matter, and you never know whether the court is going to award attorney's fees or not. So if I had $2,500 laying around, I'd put the records up, go for a modification, and see if the judge will have my child, not around dogs. I mean, it is what it is. Are you gonna pay to play? So this is just on a personal, not advice, legal advice. This is on some girl. You can pay a hired attorney to do, basically to move the court to do anything that is within the court's authority. But a lot of the times, people love to go back and forth about things, but they don't want to pay the lawyer or the court fees associated with it. So if this is really something that is that big of a deal to you, and you honestly believe that it's in the child's best interest, girl, foot that bill and know that dad may not have to pay you back. And if you're gonna do it, girl, do it. Do it. Do go all out. Be ready to have this doctor deposed, or be ready to have this doctor testify. Okay, to have these records put up before the court. I mean, this is serious. You can't just say things, okay, at the side of your neck and then not be ready to prove them. Okay, so if you're gonna do it, then go ahead and do it, girl. But make sure that it's $5,000 at least worth it. Now, I don't know. I can't tell you how much somebody would charge to do that. I'm just saying, because in family law, some small issue can turn out to be very expensive. So in family court, you always want to, and this is just me telling you, not giving you legal advice, but just telling you, you need to be ready to pay a lawyer because it can get petty. It can get petty in family court, and it gets expensive. The pettier you are, the more you look up, and your bill will be $10,000. You going back and forth fighting over dogs, cats, and frogs, honey. It can get there with depositions and other discovery devices and tools that are costly. Plus, your attorney having to go for hearings. If certain sides don't want to release information, it can get costly. So always know that when you go to family court, you best to be ready to move forward on your case. In addition to that, I will tell you that, a lot of the times somebody can go for attorney's fees against you. You can go for attorney fees against other people when you are litigating. Understand and know that. Know that when you're bringing a case. Know that when you're defending a case. Okay? That if the court can award attorney's fees for either or both sides or neither side, it can be costly and it can be out your pocket and you may not be reimbursed. Okay? So just take that into account when you are on your level of petty, because, I mean, I don't know if this is you or the child. I'm not I'm not trying to, say I don't care about this child's, allergies. Because I'm telling you, my children are allergic to a lot of things. I'm allergic to a lot of things. And it hits us. It does. But I'm allergic to dogs, and I had a dog all the time, and I'm ready to get another dog. And I have some friends that are dog breeders, and I think I want a dog or two. And the dog's staying in the house because I don't do dogs outside. That's just not me. I don't do dogs outside. So I'm not mad about this man having the dogs in the house. And you don't get dogs to put them outside. Okay? I'm against that. I am vehemently opposed to people who get dogs and put them in the backyard. I hate that. I hate it. So these are probably his family members, honey, hunty. And you need to also understand that dogs are a man's best friend and a woman's best friend. Children love dogs. Okay? People love dogs. And you are talking about this dog like it's not a part of this man's family. Okay? You telling him to get rid of the dog, like, that's just something easy for him to do. That's his family you're asking him to get rid of. And your son is not always there. And his dogs are there daily. Those are his children. They're there all the time. So we have to take that into account. And I'm not saying that the dog's life is worth more than the kids, but sometimes, guys, we need to find a happy balance and a happy medium. A lot of the times we just need to try to get along. And we do things that are very petty and not in the interest of getting along at all. And it can be costly. Just understand that. I'm through with this case because it was too much for me. I'm through with the case. Let me move on. Next case. Next case. But I have rules. Don't be petty all the time. Now, I'm understanding the EpiPen. I hear you. But a lot of the times, y'all, the women overreact. Women can overreact a lot. We're emotional creatures. We can overreact. We make big deals out of stuff that the kids really don't care about. Next case. Can you deny to sign a stay away agreements, no contact, NCA at a high school, even though both parties never wanted it? It was forced. Okay, this is a question from Fort Worth, Texas. This is in Texas, of course. I said Fort Worth. That's near Dallas. Okay, so this gentleman is writing. So me and my ex were arguing because she cheated, but we were fine. But somehow a rumor got out that I was dead and I didn't start it and didn't even know about it until it was too late. What? Rewind. So me and my ex were arguing because she cheated, but we were fine. Sir, I don't understand you. But somehow a rumor got out that I was dead and I didn't start it and I don't even know about it until it was, sir, I don't know if I want to do your, I don't know if I want to hear this case. I get to school and her mom and our AP forced us to sign a no contact. It's a child. That's what it is. I get to school and her mom and our AP forced us to sign a no contact agreement, even though we were both crying out to them that we felt no need for it and we were fine. And we want to date and talk again, but we aren't able to without us getting in trouble. And I just wonder if there's any way around it. Could we reason to them? Like what do we do in this situation? I'm 18 and she's 17, but we knew each other and dated before I turned 18, so I don't see an issue with anything. Okay, I see what's happening. He's a child. Even though he's 18, he's still a child. And so what he's doing, y'all, there are these stay away agreements, and they make people sign them all the time in school. When the children get into a fight or they get into a scuffle verbally, or there's any sort of bullying or anything going on, schools have this stay away order. Okay, and it's a stay away order that they institute. They make both parties sign it, and if the children are found in the same vicinity as one another, and the school determines that these children have not stayed away, the child that did not stay away or is found to have not stayed away has to suffer penalty. And the penalty can be detention, suspension, expulsion. It's different penalties for these stayaways. So what he's saying is he's 18, she's 17. They must have been fighting. Because he's 18, the mother has went to the school and said that her daughter cannot be around him. And because she's a minor, the family, because she's a minor, her mother made her sign that, is what I'm thinking. Or maybe there's some sort of physical something that they believe is going on. And so they want a stay away agreement done. So the mother has went to the school to do the stay away agreement. And the school has instituted the stay away agreement, even though the children do not want the stay away agreement to be instituted. Okay, so here's where we are. Children are smart. He is like, what are my rights? He said, what are his rights, boo? Okay, so I can't give you legal advice, but this is the court of my public opinion, okay? Because this is administrative law, okay? And so this is what I would think. I would assume that if something does not happen at school or is not an interference with school, that the school technically would have no authority to force you to sign a stay away agreement. Now, I don't know what type of rights you have with the school as far as whether or not you can appeal this stay away agreement, okay? There's always an appellate process in any sort of administrational law or bureaucratic area. Okay, I'm trying to speak like you would understand. Okay, bureaucracy, kid, I hope you're paying attention in government, is the red tape and policy rules. Okay, bureaucracy can have anything that's so, like if you go to, different governments, they're quasi-government. School districts are not government per se, but they kind of carry out functions underneath the government umbrella per se. So they're kind of like quasi-governmental. And because of that, they operate like a political being in some shape, form, or fashion. They have rules. Just like if a person's on probation or, let's say, parole, and you're with the state of Texas, there's a set of rules that deal with parolees that are internal. So there are systems within government that have offices. And it's about just like if somebody wants to get unemployment or if you want to get disability, okay? It's the law, but it's a lot of internal procedure with this is saying this is how this institute works. This is how. So your school is an institute, son, and it's a bureaucratic institution, meaning there are rules that govern and what can be done in school and who you can appeal things to if you don't agree with decisions that are made on a regular level. So you're at the bottom level and this decision was made and you don't agree with the decision. So I would assume you need to appeal it to the principal and or the principal's boss. Okay? And then there will be some sort of policy that you can request, and they'll have to give it to you, that reads the rules with respect to whether or not you agree with these stay away agreements and what you need to do when you don't agree with the stay away agreement, and who you need to appeal this to, and how you are to appeal it, and who the meeting would be with, and how the hearing is to be conducted, or whether or not it's a hearing where it's a panel, where there's one person that makes a decision. The rules are in their policy books. But you're going to have to file some sort of complaint, or your parents would have to file some sort of complaint to open up that process. And I would start with the principal of the school and or his or her boss and go from there. Okay? Since you're pretty smart. And you have to talk to your parents about assisting you with this. You're not a minor, technically. So I don't know how the schools deal with 18-year-olds that want to handle their own stuff without their parents. But I would assume you have the right to do so. So, you need to challenge the stay away agreement. Challenge it. Right? And I do cases like this. There are times, because schools are where a lot of, right now ain't shit starting in no school because they don't have no time to deal with shit. The corona has took them under. But you had truancy. You know, they like to give out tickets for fighting. So I deal with schools quite a bit with clients. You know, children are found with things at school due to searches. Sometimes principals search kids. Just the weirdest things happen at these vessels of learning, because they're bureaucratic in nature, quasi-governmental functions, and they have these rules, and things happen in schools. So a lot of times parents do hire attorneys to deal with school districts or to deal with schools because of something that's happened with their child. It can be quite common. So that's how I kind of know about that. And on the legal side of things, there's a rule for everything. And so as an attorney, I would just contact the principal and I would lodge my complaint on behalf of my client. And I would go from there. I'd find out what the policy is surrounding the challenging of the stay away, and I'd move to challenge it. And I'd have my necessary meetings, and if I didn't get what I wanted out of one, I would appeal that process and keep going until I've exhausted all remedy, and get the thing taken away, moved, thrown out. That's what I would do as an attorney. Okay, but I can't say how to do that because you're not a lawyer, but there's still the same pathway for you. Just gotta figure out what that is. Okay, and y'all, always, there's pathways for everything. I know a lot of times parents, you have children that are ADHD, that may have issues with school, and it's crazy getting them on these different sort of tracks and agreements, or SPED, or 504 and stuff like that. But you always request policy. You request policy, and they will give you the policy. You read that policy, you learn the policy, you learn how to challenge what you don't like when things happen with your children in schools. And if more parents were to do that, schools wouldn't be getting away with the stuff they get away with, child, if you ask me. Because the schools are wrong half the time. And with me reading this, going to rule, I think that mother did not know. I don't think this happened at school. Because the boy said, I got to school, and her mom and our AP forced us to sign a no contact. So as a mother of sons, I feel like this is wrong, because I feel like whatever happened between these two children happened outside of school. And because it did not happen at school, the school does not have the authority to tell him to stay away from her. As long as he has not done anything to her at school, he's not come near her at school in a way that is disrupting the learning environment, or that is against any sort of school policy or code. They don't have the authority to issue a no contact agreement because her mom asked for one. I think that is a civil matter, and she needs to be dealing with that shit somewhere else and not bringing it to the school. I think that's wrong, and I think they didn't have the right to do that. That is me and my point of public opinion, and as a mother of sons, that's what I would say, honey, it happened to you. But I don't know, because I don't know the facts. I'm not your lawyer. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you, boo-boo. I don't think they should have done that to you, sweetheart. I think that this happened outside of school, and you need to run that argument that this happened outside of school, and that you didn't do anything to her at school, that you don't have any write-ups dealing with her at school, and so that the school doesn't have the authority to put a stay away in your file, because it does go in your file, and that is tarnishing your reputation and causing the degradation of your conduct file, and that you want it out for that purpose. because you didn't do anything there to get that in your file. And if that was my son, that's what I would do as a mother, Pookie Bear, because I don't like it at all. We're going to take one more. One more. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but let's find a divorce. You know what? Let's find a criminal, because criminal shit is so funny. I mean, I'm not being funny, but you know. Let's try this one. All right. I thought this was criminal, but it's not. So I'm going to have to do two more questions. Okay, let's see. Can a person who's a non-relative keep custody of a child in which the child was given to them illegally and not through the courts? I was granted to be an APR over my paternal grandchildren through Arapahoe County of Child Protection through the state of Colorado. And my son and his girlfriend, the children's mother, were still able to keep their parental rights. His girlfriend, the children's mother, has an extended criminal record of crime and child neglect. The mother gave the children's newborn baby brother away to a non-relative woman who lives in Virginia, illegally and not through the courts. The courts did not allow my son to have a DNA test for this baby, and they did not include this child in the case. Arapahoe County of CP, Child Protective Services, had grandfathered the woman in the case as the children's grandmother because this is what the mother requested, okay? Got it? This lady is not in the children's biological grandmother, nor is the biological mother of my son's girlfriend. She's not even the legally adopted mother of my son's girlfriend, because my son's girlfriend spent most of her child life in foster care and was adopted by another family when she was 16 years old. So, do I have legal rights as the biological paternal grandparent to try and gain custody of my grandchildren's younger sibling? He needs to be with his brothers and his sister. Yes, ma'am, you do. Because what it seems like is that they must live in Dallas and Texas. That's why she's coming through Texas and asking this question. But she lives in Colorado. She has the other children, and the girl has had another child outside of CPS and has given that child to someone else. Because whenever people have open CPS cases or have been found neglectful, CPS will come around when they have a child. So in order to avoid having this child taken and go in the system and probably go to this woman, she's moved and given the child to someone else before CPS could take the child from her, which is a very strategic move. It is a move that attorneys use. It is a move that people are learning to do, to make. When CPS comes, give the child to someone that is stable. And then you don't have the child technically is not in harm's way. CPS will look at you, finish off with you, and leave the child with that person, and then you can reunite at the end of it all, or something along those lines. Now what CPS has started to do is start to still lurk and pay attention, and to then pull that child in the current litigation with the other kids, which is what happened in this case. And so the girl said, well, this is the grandmother. And she has the child. And so CPS thinks that it's the grandmother, when really the other lady's like, I'm the grandmother. She ain't no grandmother. And if anybody should have the child, it should be me, because I'm a kin. And she makes sense. Okay, so ma'am, y'all are going to need to get a lawyer and jump off in this lawsuit. You're going to have to intervene in the lawsuit some kind of way. There are different ways, legal ways to intervene. Whenever the state of Texas is moving for termination of a parent, that may allow you to step in. When parents are being looked at with CPS, there is in the Texas Family Code, it does say that CPS must look to family members first before throwing the children in foster care. Now, the child is not in foster care, so that will be a little bit of a hill to climb. In CPS's mind, they have fit the mold of what the government asked them to do, because in their mind, this child is with a family member and not in foster care. So they did do the right thing. And I'm sure this lady is being checked out to see if she's suitable to have the child, because if there's any CPS people lurking, that is what they do. That's why this woman said they had grandfathered, added this new child once they found out about it. Even though they didn't get their hands on that child, they threw that child in the litigation so that they can take care of and get their hands on that child. But they're leaving the child with where the girl has left the child, because they must believe that that's a good place. If not, they'll move that child from that place, and they will throw the child in foster care if no other family members step up. Ma'am, you're going to have to try to jump in this lawsuit. Grandparents will have certain rights upon the termination of the parental right of the parent, but not always. It gives you a way to try to jump in the litigation It doesn't mean you're going to win or you will get custody of children. It depends on how long the children have been where they've been, whether or not they're happy, whole, and healthy, if there are any problems that arise with that uh, home. But you are correct. The government does like to keep kids together, and if you have the other siblings, then I would say you need to contact an attorney and move to intervene in that lawsuit, because it seems as if mom may lose and she might get terminated against. I would also argue that where the hell is your son? He should be getting sued in this case. And why isn't he strengthening his stance with respect to this child and telling CPS that he wants you looked at as a person to have the children, and telling CPS the truth? So because if your son is the father, that's the only way you can be the real grandmother. Because if your son is not the father of this child, then ma'am, you're no more family than this other woman that has the child. So I assume that you're alleging that your son is the father. But CPS does all they can to find fathers. They actually appoint attorneys to go look for these parents that are wayward. I'm sure they've talked to this baby's mother and found out that your son is probably the father. So where the hell is your son? So it's looking to me like I need to put on my robe. Boom, boom. It's on. Proverbially. And I'm getting ready to rule and pull you in the court of my public opinion and tell you what I think about this, because I'm ready to rule. Where in the hell is your son, ma'am? Because you're speaking in a way that leads me to believe that your son is not in this lawsuit. So I don't like that. Because a lot of the times men, when the woman gets in trouble with CPS, the men don't want to come forward and fight the case. They don't want nothing to do with it. And they don't care if their rights get terminated. And that's what it seems that your son is doing. And so, ma'am, he needs to jump in the lawsuit. And you do too. Where is he? Okay? You don't need to be taking all your son's kids and not making him come forward in court and fight for his children. He needs to be doing that. And I understand that the children need to be together, but you are responsible for your son and the way he was raised. And what I don't like in the court, and this is just me with my public opinion with grandparents, is y'all try to fix it on your grandchildren when your ass wasn't that good of a parent to begin with. That's why your child is running around doing the things your child is doing and putting you in a situation with your grandkids that your child is putting you in a situation with your grandkids because your child ain't right because you didn't raise that child completely right. And if you didn't get it right the first time, ma'am, why are you asking the courts to give you another set of children for you to screw up by them? Now, I understand that some of the times people grow up and so they do a better job the second time. But I need you to understand that if you failed as a mother in certain areas, she gets the right to fail as a mother in certain areas. Okay? And a lot of times grandparents like to step in and take over and go beyond their authority because they don't like what the children are doing. But they forget they weren't the best parents themselves. They're just in a better, stable, more environment now because they old and can't do shit no more. So now, just not the time for you to act like you better than the parents that you actually used to be when you were their age. I just want that to be understood. And if this is your son has these children with her, then where in the hell is he at? Because they have a lawyer looking for his ass and going to court without him, trying to fight for his rights, but he ain't there. So that'll give you a foothold. That'll give you a way in. Is if he comes around and says, hey, these are my kids and I need to fight for them. And by the way, the rest of our kids are over here. CPS, the children need to go with my mother. And you step in. That's how that goes. You don't just come around and your son ain't with you. That doesn't look right. Okay? I had to rule. I had to tell you, ma'am. I'm not trying to down you. I'm not. But where in the hell is your son? He's a big missing piece of this puzzle. And you're doing all the front running here. And, as women, we like to baby our sons. We love to do that. Okay? But you need to make your son do what your son's supposed to do. I have clients all the time like, oh, girl, I just cannot afford to keep paying his bill. But I need you to do such and such for my son. Girl, you baby your son. I don't baby your son. Your son is my client. Your son is grown. If you don't have the money to pay your son's bill, stop asking me for services and make him pay it. He can pay. He has a job. He's grown. And he needs to pay his own services. You're more worried about what's going on with his child custody stuff than he is, because if he was concerned, he'd be there. He'd be paying somebody and he would be present. And grandparents need to understand you don't look good when your child isn't present. Because then it looks like you're being an over-authoritative grandparent. Your child don't care, but you care. And it ain't for you to care because it's not your child. These are your grandchildren. There's a difference. Am I making sense? So he's a vital link in this. He's a necessary party to you stepping up. But you could try to step up. I don't know what you're going to use because intervention is, you can't just jump in a case. That's not how it works. So, but that's what you would need to do. Your son needs to answer the lawsuit and you need to intervene if you can. Okay? But come around the back way and let the courts know you have the other children. I would assume, you know. And if she kept her rights over the children, but you have them, why have you not sued her for the paperwork? You're holding on to children that you don't have custody of, technically, and that's not a good thing to do because although CPS leaves people like that sometimes, you know, how do you get along and get the things that you need for the child if the mother still has custody? She can come like a thief in the night and take the children from you. So you also need to do what you need to do as a grandparent and go ahead and file for the children that are in your home. You need to do that also. And that will also give you a foothold in the other litigation. But the fact that you're a grandparent doesn't give you many rights. It's just the fact that they're trying to terminate your son. So you got to use your son. Make him go in there and start that things off. That's the best way I can think to try to tell you, you know, just from a personal standpoint to try to do things. But he's a huge missing factor. Okay? So y'all, I'm gonna do one more little we're gonna do a criminal defense question, a real criminal defense question, and then we're gonna be up out of here. As a permanent resident, this is immigration. See what I'm saying? As a permanent resident, can I be denied entry in the U.S. if I have dismissed, expunged case of misdemeanor theft? In May of 2019, I was arrested and charged with Class B misdemeanor theft. I hired a criminal lawyer. He first made me go through a pretrial diversion and did not require me to enter a plea. After completing the program, the case was dismissed. But after going through Google, I read that even though I did not enter a plea, pretrial diversion is conviction for immigration purposes. Not sure if it's true, but I read it on Google. After that, I went back to my lawyer and told him this will be an issue for me for my immigration purposes. I don't know how to get me another dismissal, that the state dismissed at assistant district attorney's discretion in the interest of justice. And he told me to destroy the previous dismissal and keep the one that states in the interest of justice. He then expunged the case. So it looks like he fixed it, sir. He gave you the proper dismissal now that you should need. Because you're telling me he changed the dismissal. Now the dismissal says in the interest of justice. So that means you beat it. You said the lawyer expunged the case, so it's gone. Boom. I would like to go to my home country because I had a baby last year in 2020. I want my baby to meet her grandparents back home, and I want to know if I will be inadmissible or placed on deportation because of that dismissed case. I have a certificate of disposition that just states that the case was dismissed, but doesn't mention why it was dismissed. Go back and you're going to need to find the paperwork that he gave you, the district attorney discretion in the interest of justice. You need to go get that dismissal that says in the interest of justice. Because you said that he got you one dismissal that said something. You didn't say what it said, but it didn't say in the interest of justice. So he went back and had them put in the interest of justice, and then he expunged the case. So what you got to do is, where are you at? Where's this at? Houston, Texas. Okay, Harris County. Even though a case is expunged, you should be able to pull it up somewhere. I think it's going to be a close. Man, I think that's only for, that may only be for, if it's expunged, it's gone. Because I know for, gosh, I hate all these post-conviction, post-judgment actions. But a non-disclosure, the county keeps a copy of that. So you just move to open the case as sealed versus expunged is the case is sealed. And then you just go to the district clerk, have the judge unseal the case, get what you need out of the case, and then, get it. Give it back to the state of Texas, and they don't disclose that it's sealed. This is an expunction, so that stuff is destroyed, and they shouldn't even have a copy of it. You will only have whatever your attorney gave you, and your attorney probably told you that before he got it expunged. And I'm sure that you have this dismissal that says in the interest of justice. So you need to just keep that. You need to also go seek counsel from an immigration attorney, but the case was dismissed. Pretrial diversions sometimes are in trouble, get us in trouble because they're deferred adjudications and not pretrial diversions. And deferred adjudication is a little different than a pretrial diversion. And pretrial diversions are not always looked at as conviction for immigration purposes. It's really up to the officer, and that can be appealed. So I think you're okay. But you just have your paperwork lined up. And guys, I hate to say this, but when you know that you're adjusting status and you're not a resident yet, and you've got to go through being denied, you can possibly go through being denied entry. Just don't leave. Shit, it's not that damn important. Just don't leave. I know it sucks, but I mean, if you want to get caught possibly not getting back into the United States and losing everything you got, it's that big of a deal, then go ahead and go. But I would say, you should be fine. You should be fine. But I'm just saying in general, y'all don't risk it. Stay where you are. Go ahead and become a citizen, and then travel freely. Shoot. That's what you need to do. But when you seek, depending on, you need to seek counsel with the immigration specialist, and they'll be able to, get travel documents for you, and tell you, better about whether or not you may be denied entry. But that shit was dismissed. I think you're fine, child. I think you're good. It also determines in what country you're from. Because I hate to say that, but that's another thing. So, but it may be that you have a child, and the child may not be able to meet your parents just yet. You may want to wait till the child's 4 or 5 and you get this stuff out the way. Okay? Now I'm going to do a real criminal question, y'all, but I'm trying to be through. Okay? Because that was immigration. Here goes a good one. I was caught shoplifting at Walmart, but let go without police involvement. How much trouble am I in? I was caught shoplifting at Walmart just a couple days ago, and the loss prevention officer said that he was not going to involve the police since the item was only $12. He got my ID and took the information from that. He told me that since it's my first time and it was a low-value item, I might get a civil demand letter in the mail within 60 days. I did research, and I'm reading that these demand letters can be a nightmare, and many lawyers advice to ignore them. I've not received a letter yet, but I'm getting really bad anxiety over the matter. How long do these usually take? Do I pay this letter when it comes? If I don't pay it, then turn the evidence over to the police. If I do pay it, will they just drop the whole matter? Girl, do not pay that shit, okay? That is extortion, and it's best, in my opinion, because if they're going to prosecute you, then they just need to prosecute you. They can't tell you, if you don't give me this money, I'm going to prosecute you. They did not prosecute you, and the shit is over with. Do not steal out of Walmart ever again. Walmart and Macy's and a lot of these other places can see the hairs in your nose on the camera. Okay? That's how good the cameras are. So do not go in there stealing. Okay? I don't even know what the hell you would want to steal out of Walmart these days. Okay? I can understand Target, not Walmart. Okay, this is not 2005, 2001, 1997. That's when it made sense to steal out of Walmart. Walmart does not have anything that anybody should want to steal this day and age. This is 2022, and we're not stealing out of fucking Walmart. We through with Walmart. Walmart is cheap. Just go in there and buy whatever the hell you need, baby. It is nothing you should be stealing out of a Walmart. And I don't want to read any more Walmart theft shoplifting cases, because what in the hell does Walmart have that you want? Girl, that you even want. I don't even like to go in Walmart. My kids, I told them I was going to Walmart the other day because it was right by the place where I was picking up their food. They told me they do not do Walmart. Don't do no Walmart. If you're going to go to Walmart, just pay for it. Walmart. You finna battle Corona to steal? And Walmart, girl, no. I want you to get your life right. That's what I want you to do. I want you to get your life right, because the item was $12. Okay? I want you to get your life right, because the item was $12 and you have bad anxiety. Baby, you just stop it. Slow down in life. Go to Target and don't steal. Next case. You're genuinely a good person, because you're having anxiety and didn't even go to jail. You're a good kid. You are a good person. Okay? Remain that way. Okay? Well, with that being said, we are done. Okay? We are done here. So y'all have a fantastic day. Happy New Year. I know it's been a long time. But I'm big. And I'm also gonna do a podcast that me and my friend, who's also an attorney, but we're just young black women, middle-aged black women. We're gonna do us a podcast. Okay, so just be looking out for that. Y'all have a fantastic day. And make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Okay, turn on the notifications. Okay, catch the next video of mine. Okay, do all of that. Y'all have a fantastic day.